Second. Hang on, I'm working on it. Just a sec. I'm ready. Wait.
Hey, welcome into the Rob Brown Show. Lonzo here while Rob untangles his headphones. And you should watch it on stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter to see what a chore that actually was. It was a struggle, man. It was like watching Three Stooges, but there's only like one. So I mean,
one Stooge.
Yeah, I could have said, I don't know, Laurel and Hardy, but I'm not sure people get that reference as much as Three Stooges. Abbott and Costello.
Howdy, everybody. Happy Monday. I mean, I know who Abbott and Costello are.
Do you know who Laurel and Hardy is?
I know of Laurel and Hardy. I don't know who they are. I can't say I've watched.
There was a fat dude and there was a skinny dude, and I think they started out in silent.
Doesn't every comedy duo have a fat guy and a skinny guy?
Yeah, and the fat guy's always the funny guy. Talk about typecasting.
Right?
It's still that way now, I think.
I didn't say that. You did.
No, I wasn't talking about on this show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, who's who?
Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. How do you do? Great to be with you. How was your weekend? Hope it was exceptional.
Hey, Rob, my weekend was fantastic.
I bet it was. Lonzo is red, gold, and whited from top to bottom and ready to roll. As 2 weeks from yesterday, his squad will be lining it up against Jalen and the Eagles in the next iteration of the Super Bowl. Congratulations, buddy.
I sent a text to Rob and he responded.
Sure did.
What an amazing event that was yesterday.
Sure did. It does work better when you catch me when I'm awake.
Well, I figured you were probably watching. So
I was probably watching.
Because of work.
I was definitively watching, ladies and gentlemen. We have got a lot to talk about with these two games, but I have to start out of the gate with some audio. I think it's only fair because we have got quite a bit of it to run through on the radio broadcast today, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know where I want to start. Wait, yes, I do. I'm going to go Travis Kelce out the gate. Now, if you haven't heard the audio from last week, we didn't get to it on this show because it broke after the show was over. And I'm not going to play it because I forgot to download it. But the mayor of Cincinnati on Friday said they could not wait for the Cincinnati Bengals to go into Burrowhead Stadium, where Joey B had won 3 in a row. He was ready to go to Burrowhead Stadium. And if there is a lesson here that needs to be learned, it might be this. Whether you play for the team, Trevor Lawrence, whether you just rep the team, mayor of Cincinnati, maybe, just maybe, don't give any unnecessary ammo to the squad lining up opposite yours on game day. Maybe just don't do that. It's just an idea. Why? Because these are grown-ass men who don't take too kindly to being insulted for no reason. And they might just use it as a little ammo about your team. We know that the Kansas City Chiefs did that when they took on the Jags a while back. Trevor Lawrence said, I'm used to going into, I don't think Arrowhead's anything special. It was tough to hear for Jacksonville. Everybody all week was referring to Arrowhead as Burrowhead, and the chefs very clearly took that personally. Let me grab clip 2A out of the gate here, Zoe, because after the game was over, and those of you who were paying attention, you'll know that the Kansas City Chiefs won the AFC Championship game and are going back to the Super Bowl, the Kelce Bowl, the Reed Bowl, whatever you want to call it.
Third one of my lifetime.
Yes,
Very,
indeed.
very excited about it.
So, after the game was over, on the field at Burrowhead Stadium, Patrick Mahomes was getting his post-game interview conducted by, I think, Tracy Wolfson. And then, noted not a real man, Travis Kelce showed up. Clip 2A, if you don't mind. And he, on national television, in front of Patrick Mahomes on the field at Burrowhead Stadium, said this. Whoa!
That sounds familiar. Like I've heard that somewhere before.
I wouldn't know where.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking I'm getting a premonition that I might hear that Friday night.
Whoa!
By everyone in the crowd.
Whoa! I don't know where that would come from. It sounds theoretically like something that like a pro wrestler would do.
Sounds like something the man would do.
Yeah. It sounds like something a pro wrestler would do, but not noted real man Travis Kelce. But Kelce was not done because Terry Bradshaw handed the Philadelphia Eagles their NFC Championship trophy. And by the way, how do we feel about old TB? I'm a big Bradshaw guy, but there are a lot of folks calling for TB to step away after that NFC Championship presentation, saying that he's lost it. I don't know, man. There were people that were offended that after he interviewed Patrick Mahomes, he turned around and said to the offensive line, "Hey, you big uglies, get up here." They were like, "Oh, it's not nice that Terry Bradshaw would call them ugly." It's like, dude, they're offensive linemen. They call themselves ugly. They know what they are. Anyway, on the stage, Travis Kelce got a mic again and had a special message for the mayor of Cincinnati. I'm not a Kansas City Chiefs fan, Lonzo. I am a huge Travis Kelce fan. Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. Again, no idea where that comes from. Sounds like a silly professional wrestling catchphrase, but noted man Travis Kelce wouldn't do that. Whoa!
It sounds like something that I heard like the biggest star in the world say at some point. It does sound like that.
Jokes aside.
And if you're watching the stream, he probably did some of this.
Jokes aside, how great is it that Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes took the title of Burrowhead Stadium back and then dropped a know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni, on the mayor of Cincinnati. Incredible.
Look, your guy Eli Apple's trending for some reason.
Yeah, because he's taking his ass on a plane back to Cancun. If you missed that one, last week, after the Bills game, there were some choice words about some things that happened on the field. And Eli Apple retweeted another player who put up a stat line and said, "and 2 tickets to Cancun later." And then yesterday, Eli Apple not only got roasted by, and we're going to talk about this coming up in the next segment, a Kansas City Chiefs team that was missing, Lonzo, I think, almost all of their wide receivers.
Yeah, and this morning on one of those morning shows, all they could talk about was, but Tyreek Hill isn't there. But Tyreek Hill it's a shut up. He hasn't been there all year. And nobody was there yesterday. And guess what? In the end, didn't matter. Kansas City still won.
Tons of wide receivers missing out of that Chiefs lineup. Patrick Mahomes got it done on a flat tire anyway. and Eli Apple, who got absolutely roasted. Also, by the way, on a 3rd and 10 situation that could have gotten the Chiefs off the field and flipped it over, got called for a terrible, stupid holding call in the defensive backfield that gave the Chefs another opportunity. I think they ended up with a field goal on that drive, if I recall correctly. Either way, Eli, enjoy Cancun, buddy. Say hello to everybody that you were smack talking on the way out. Look, we're going to talk about this game coming up here in just a minute from right now. We're going to talk about quarterbacking in the NFL because San Francisco ended up having to lean on QB4 in the NFC Championship game. QB4, they threw the ball 18 times. You'd think if they threw the ball 18 times, they must have run it 35-40, right? Nope, 24. Barely enough plays for a half, forget a full game. So we will talk about quarterbacking in the NFL. Here's what I will say. There is, and I'm going to say this and then back slowly away from the great one. There is a hefty number of fans and analysts on the social medias right now saying that the Chiefs got kid-gloved by the referees in the late part of the game. That the referees were calling that game one-sided one way, and that the Chiefs were the beneficiaries. I will tell you that the last call, the roughing out of bounds call, was 170,000% a justified and correct call. Do I think some calls got missed? Hell yes, I do. Do I think some tic-tacs got called? Hell yes, I do. Do I think that a lot of them went the direction of Kansas City? Absolutely, I do. But you can't call that at the end of the game. Yes, you can. That was a blatant and egregious roughing out of bounds call, unnecessary roughness out of bounds call, had to be called, and the Chiefs did what they needed to get it to get it done. And BT Dubs did it while Patrick Mahomes was on a flat tire and still went for 326, 2 touchdowns, and a couple of massive scampers that kept drives alive.
First of all, you hit the biggest star in the NFL right now out of bounds, and they're not going to, I'll just let him play. I do have a major problem, and I need someone to explain this to me. Explain to me why supposedly the NFL wanted the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and not Cincinnati, and that's the reason why supposedly they decided to make calls a certain way to make sure that Kansas City got in Super Bowl. I want to know why. I also want to know why you dislike Kansas City. And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about other people. Your team ain't in there because they weren't good enough. That's really what it comes down to. And Cincinnati very easily could have won that game. That was the better game yesterday for sure. And it's funny how if it's against the team you pull for, you're like, yeah, that was justified. It's ridiculous. It really is. It's petty. It's stupid. It makes no sense. It just doesn't. I know I say it's a work all the time. This was not a work. If it was a work, Cincinnati should be playing in the Super Bowl because they got all the hype about how they should be in. Joe Burrow is going to surpass Patrick Mahomes. Maybe I'm watching shows you don't watch. And if so, you need to tell me the shows you watch because maybe I need to watch those shows because they may not say that, but the ones I did.
The entire week. Now,
was nothing but Bengals talk week.
I need to know what shows you're watching because all week talk was
the shows
Patrick Mahomes can come out and do it on a flat tire, goat him. Brady who? Mahomes.
Dude, I did not hear that anywhere. Absolutely not anywhere. Definitely didn't hear it on this show, and I didn't hear it anywhere else. Didn't see it anywhere else. All I heard was Joe Burrow, who I really like, by the way. I'm not going to dog Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is the real deal. He's done some amazing things in college and since he's been in the NFL. But the sports media decided he's the next guy. He's going to overtake. They haven't beat Joe Burrow in 3 games. He owns Kansas City. I heard that on a couple of different networks
And I'm happy
on
to tell
several
you why.
different shows.
I am happy to tell you
Because
why.
there's a narrative being written by one guy somewhere, and they all take
No.
off with it.
No.
Oh, for
No,
sure.
that's not
That's
why.
it's absolutely.
I'm
what
going
it
to tell
is.
you why. The reason why is because of the fact that for about 3 years, Patrick Mahomes was called Baby Goat. And I know that's true because you got upset about it. Madden put Mahomes on the cover next to Brady and called it the GOAT edition. For about 3 or 4 years, Patrick Mahomes was called the Baby Goat. And the fact that while Mahomes is being called the Baby Goat, you don't have to like it, but that is true. I'll show you the Madden cover.
Yeah, I've seen the Madden cover.
Brady-
I won't play that game. 'Cause
Brady is falling out.
you got Mahomes and then some cheater.
Brady is falling out. Josh Allen got bumped, right? The NFL is always looking for when I got hired here. Well, when anybody gets hired in any radio station, anytime somebody cracks the mic, what is the one thing we're supposed to cause? Conflict, drama, chaos, right? Because conflict breeds opinion, and it breeds debate, and it breeds conversation. That's what we're going for.
I don't know what any of that stuff is.
So, for 3 or 4 years, Mahomes has been called the Baby Goat. The GOAT has fallen off, at least according to the outcome of the season. Josh Allen got bumped in round 2 and in an ugly way. So the only conversation now was, can Burrow overtake Mahomes in the conversation of QB power rankings? And the answer to, I think, anybody who's been watching the NFL is that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football right now, okay? If I had to power rank every NFL QB, Patrick Mahomes is number 1. And I would be willing to bet that upwards of 90% of people with any objectivity in my role would say the same thing.
Let me interrupt for a second.
We're looking for who is going to disrupt that power structure, and the only one who could have was Joey B. So Joey B got talked about.
I mean, this is because this goes along with what you're saying. Trending right now in the United States, #NFL rigged.
Yes, I'm not saying it did or did not happen.
I will say this though, and you'll disagree just because if the roles were reversed and the supposed bad calls were happening to Kansas City and Cincinnati was going to the Super Bowl this time, the NFL is rigged # would not be happening because sports media decided that Cincinnati had
listen.
surpassed. All right, let's talk about ESPN. Let's talk about Fox. Let's talk about all the. Do you not see those things?
No, I think that for whatever reason, if anybody levies and I'm not saying Lonzo specifically, although I think you're in this group right now. I cannot tell you since I have been here how many times I've been told, Rob, you always beat up on my team and nobody else's. Over my career, I can be in the middle of 2 different universities. I can be in the middle of 2 different schools. And if you ask fans of both schools, I hate their school and I love the other school. And it's always been that way. It happens literally right now. There is this thing that fans do that if another team gets talked about, you recognize that and you lean on that more than when your team gets talked about. Yes, as an objective viewer who did not have a dog in this fight, so to speak. I did not have a team I preferred to win. I recognize that KC is, if they're not a dynasty, very close to being one. And I very much like Joe Burrow and the ice coldness of Joey B. I didn't have a dog in the fight. I didn't have a preferred winner. I wanted a great game. I think we got it. But I think that in trying to make Kansas City, Cincinnati as entertaining as possible, in a game that Kansas City was consensus favored by every single sports book, you've got to make it interesting somehow. So you talk about what Cincinnati can do right to get in. That's not
Wait a minute.
anti-KC.
Wait a minute. That line was going back and forth the entire week. You talked about how that is. So there's no consensus that
No,
Kansas City was going to win.
It's settled by Thursday on Kansas City, like -2.5, and it stayed there till kickoff. It wasn't a big spread. It wasn't a ridiculous spread. I think it's probably even money if Cincinnati's offensive line, which, by the way, the Kansas City Chiefs freaking cooked in the first half. Would they have 3 sacks in the first quarter alone?
I'm sure Buffalo will say they couldn't do that because of the snow.
I don't know what they need to say to get over it, but KC's DL cooked the Cincinnati O-line. And by the way, I'll also say this while we're going both ways. Cincinnati had 2 turnovers go in and out of their hands. 2 turnovers that Cincinnati left on the field. Kansas City scored on both of them.
Kansas City had a interception, an obvious interception from McDuffie too, that he just completely dropped. So, I mean, that goes both ways too, as far as that goes. This was an entertaining game. I think in the end, whoever won, if Cincinnati beat Kansas City, I would have been disappointed for sure. But they would have beat them. It would, and it would have been kind of fair, unlike the other game.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do want your opinion on this. Do you feel the officiating, specifically in the fourth quarter of that game last night, was one-sided? You know, I go back, and like I said, and we're going to talk about this with the NBA too, because I don't know if you saw the controversy in the NBA this weekend. LeBron got beat up for being a crybaby because I don't think people understood the context of the situation that LeBron got heated in.
By the way, I don't know what it is, but I'm sure he was being a crybaby because all NBA players are crybabies.
Hater.
They just are.
Hater.
Hey, it's allowed.
Hater.
It's encouraged. That's what they do. It's a part of the game.
I'm sick of this Lonzo narrative that LeBron's a crybaby. So we're going to talk controversy.
He's a very rich crybaby.
He is. I'll say this. I got about 4 or 5 texts after that game was over. Unsolicited. 4 or 5 texts after that game was over last night, the Chiefs-Cincinnati game, from people going, I feel like that was rigged. And as Lonzo pointed out, hashtag NFL rigged is trending right now. And since this morning alone, there are almost 40,000 tweets with hashtag NFL rigged on it. That is a lot of tweets.
I'm just curious, with those people who believe that it's rigged, do you now hate Kansas City? Do you blame them or do you blame the NFL? I'm just curious, because if it's rigged, are you still going to continue to watch? Are you going to watch the Super Bowl because it's rigged? So we already know that Philadelphia is going to win it. So why are you going to watch
Philadelphia is going to win it because it's rigged? If the NFL is rigged, conversation is real.
If it's rigged,
your team got
no. If it's rigged, Philadelphia is going to win it. Why? Because they have been the front runners and the darlings of the sports media for the entire year.
I thought Cincinnati was the darlings. Wait.
No.
I thought Josh Allen was you've got all these darlings. It's everybody but the Chiefs are the darlings.
Yes.
That doesn't sound a little like opposite conspiratorial?
I don't know what you're getting at. I really don't. I don't understand.
The darlings. Everybody who is lined up against Cincinnati or against Kansas City is the darlings, yet you guys keep winning.
Hey, I get I'm going at your boys, and now you're trying to all you guys.
Boys play in the NFC, buddy. I don't have boys.
I'm talking about your media guys. All you guys on that side of the glass.
I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about you. You're the one who has called 3 different teams darlings so far in this segment.
You might as well be saying Burrowhead sitting over there, Rob Brown.
Whoa, you jabronis. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Do want your thoughts. 71307 is the text line. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. Last night's game specifically, is there a problem with the officiating? Is Lonzo right? Is everybody but the Chiefs the darling, even though there's 40,000 tweets this morning alone saying the Chiefs got the benefit last night? Ooh, it's spicy in here, y'all. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It's Monday. Let's have a little fun on the Fan Upstate. I did nothing this weekend, and my voice is out. That's not true. I did 2 hockey games on
I was
Saturday.
going to say, I thought you worked one of your 20,000 jobs.
2 of my $20,000 job. $20,000 jobs. I wish I'd have fewer of them.
This is one log invoice. After the beep, enter the digits you see on the screen, followed by the hash sign.
I wasn't feeling like myself, and I wasn't sure why. I couldn't sleep. My joints and muscles hurt, mood
Thank you.
swings, and
Goodbye.
sometimes even hot flashes. Estrogen decline can begin for women as early as 40 years old and can trigger the symptoms we commonly associate with menopause. These symptoms can be gradual at first and can become really disruptive to daily life. I wanted to find a hormone-free solution to help relieve my symptoms. My doctor told me to try Equell. Equell is the only supplement made with S-Equol, a naturally derived plant-based ingredient that relieves symptoms of estrogen decline. With Equell, I feel like myself again.
Don't you hate computer programs that have a bunch of drop-down menus that if you don't move the cursor to the correct way, that you just lose it all and have to go back to the left and then try to? It's just so stupid.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Tired of getting dinged by monthly fees on your checking account? You need Simple Checking from Home Trust Bank. With Simple Checking, you get all the essential checking services for free, including 100% online access and a free Visa debit card. It's everything you need from a checking account, but no hoops, no surprises, no monthly fees. Stop by today or call 800-627-1632. Simple Checking at Home Trust. Ready for what's next. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This feature sponsored by Staples. Staples Print and Marketing is committed to quality and printing perfect every time. Now at Staples, get $10 off your document printing and marketing materials order of $50 or more. Offer ends 2/25. See staples.com/stores/printbig for details. Try Staples and see the difference.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil high blood pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief.
They're not print?
Something I was printing, yes. We have Furman tickets to give away.
Yes, we do. I have that.
Do you have the sheet?
Right there on the.
Yeah, well, no, there's
No, I got it on my email.
there's copy that goes with
I
it.
got it on my email.
Okay. About the women's thing? Okay. All right. That's what I was trying to print. I don't know, Steven. It does sound that way, doesn't it? He may just be coming at me, though. Because as we know, I am nothing but cocky about my team and coming and crow every single day and get in everyone's face about it.
Kind of annoying.
Because that's what I do about my team.
It's very annoying.
You know, just like when they won last night, you know, I nearly put holes in my floor from jumping up and down. Here's the extent of it. Cool, we're going to the Super Bowl. Hey Lisa, he just quoted The Rock. That's it. That was basically the, you know, when Kelsey quoted The Rock.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. God, I love Travis Kelce.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
Yeah, he's a guy you would love to hang out with.
Oh, 100%. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. It is also Monday morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting back into the groove, ain't we? By the way, here's a fun stat that I came across during the break. The Philadelphia Eagles are the fourth team in NFL history to win a playoff game by 24 or more points. 3 teams have done it before this year. The record for those 3 teams in the Super Bowl, a perfect 3-0.
Oh, that's no surprise there because, there were circumstances yesterday. I would love to have seen Brock Purdy be completely healthy for the entire game to see what the final score would be. But so you're saying, according to history, Kansas City has no shot.
I'm saying, according to history, Kansas City is up against perfect statistics, nothing else.
But since they have the refs on their side, they're probably okay.
Maybe. We'll see. See how it plays out. How do we feel about the officiating in that game last night? Got a couple of texts that have come in so far. Text said, not a Kansas City fan, but the ref was clearly running onto the field and blowing the whistle, but nobody heard because of how loud it was. Just bad luck. The refs during, let me find the rest of that text, see where it went. The refs during the Eagles game sucked much more, end quote.
Yeah, there were some bad calls and non-calls, like that one touchdown that was not a touchdown. But you got to blame the coaching staff for San Francisco for not throwing a challenge flag on that because it obviously hit the ground and they got that touchdown out of that. And there were some other stuff like, what are they doing? So I think officiating overall, these are supposed to be the best of the best that the NFL has. Aren't these all-star crews? That get to go to the playoffs because they've done so well the entire year. They still do that, right?
As far as I know, you have to earn your way in and have tenure to do championship games in a Super Bowl. Doesn't mean that there aren't the Bill Vinoviches of the world that don't go in and screw the pooch when they get the opportunity to.
Hey, human error is part of the game. Whether you like referees or not, they're going to make some mistakes. I find it hard to believe that there was a directive from on high saying, okay, this is a team we want to win.
I don't disagree with you.
Screw you, America. They're going to the Super Bowl. And yes, I'm trying to sound like Vince McMahon. I'd go all the way.
Reference understood.
I'd go all the way, but I'd lose my voice for sure.
Look, here's what I'll say. The two plays that drew the most ire from social media were the hit on Patrick Mahomes as he ran out of bounds. In fact, go ahead and grab me clip number 4, if you don't mind. Here is the audio from the play that added 15 and set up the Chiefs for a game winner. So there you go. That was the call. And the call was spot on. No problem with it. The other call that a lot of folks were upset about, just a few minutes before that, 3rd down and long for the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City sets up. They go with, if I recall correctly, 2 wide receivers left, tight end to the right-hand side, and a running back. Mahomes drops back. The play begins. There's nothing there for Kansas City. And then out of nowhere, the play is blown dead. The play gets blown dead. Kansas City gets to reset, takes another crack. It results in, if I recall correctly, I think that may have been the Eli Apple holding. Either way, Kansas City gets the first down. And a lot of folks were going, wait. The refs saw that play was not working for Kansas City and they blew it dead. And that is definitively not what happened. In fact, there's a video going around on social media in response to that claim right now.
They showed it last night during the game.
Yeah.
They showed him coming on the field. If you want to blame anybody for this, blame the Cincinnati mayor. Blame the Burrowhead. Yeah. You know why? Because it was so loud in there, they couldn't hear the whistle. And that's not the first time that happened. There was a 1 or 2 more plays earlier in the game where the play stopped and the players couldn't hear it because it was that loud. You did this, Cincinnati. So quit blaming the referees. It's your fault that they were so loud in there.
It was there were just a couple of spots where fans are losing their minds right now. A couple of spots where fans are going, "Oh, that was clearly in favor of KC." It's like, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. The win of the penalty going out of bounds was very clearly and obviously a penalty that had to be called, and the referee was running on the field to stop the clock. There are some spots I am not disagreeing. The intentional grounding on Joe Burrow.
Oh, for sure that was grounding.
I'm not disagreeing was grounding, but I'm saying Mahomes had a very similar play a handful of series before that. That was not grounding. Either it is.
Did it go past the line of scrimmage when Mahomes threw it? I mean, you can go back and look, but Burrows did not.
But he was facing the opposite direction, but there was a running back on the opposite side of the offensive line that I would subjectively, up for interpretation, have considered a receiver in the area that would have made that not a ground.
Dude, he was 8 or 9 yards down the field.
I don't disagree.
He was in that direction, but so were a lot of other guys. I get what you're saying. But
that's why I said it's subjective.
But I think it got called because, and I believe it was Tony Romo pointed out, it didn't go past the line of scrimmage. If it went past the line of scrimmage, it would have hit alignment. No, it would hit alignment.
Right. Yes,
and that would have been a penalty also.
But the point of all of that is, as I mentioned, it is wildly subjective. That particular call is wildly subjective. But
by the letter of the rule, it was a penalty.
Right. So, again, I can't say, I am not going to sit here and say that I think the officiating was in Kansas City's favor. I'm not. I am going to say that the people who are claiming that it was because of a couple of spots that were questionable holds that were or were not called, et cetera, I understand why people feel that way.
My favorite one was, it's not his fault. He was going really fast and he couldn't slow down. He didn't mean to hit him. Okay. All right.
Here's a couple of texts that have come in. Texter says, "Fan, wouldn't have mattered if they called a late hit on that play. The NFL would have just given Kansas City more do-overs until they got into field goal range."
You guys, I hate this. I hate when people make themselves look bad. And that's what you're doing, Texter. I mean, you make yourself look bad. You're smarter than that. Come on.
Texter said, Lonzo is right. LeBron is a crybaby. He was 15 of 30 from the floor. Make more shots and that call wouldn't matter. I'm coming back to that LeBron thing. That LeBron thing's getting a segment.
And I want to remind you, all NBA players are whiners. Exactly.
Texter said, I don't know, that late hit personal foul was definitely a first quarter personal foul, so it should be a fourth quarter penalty. Can't do that. Got to be more disciplined. Yeah, that's that one. Again, that one was a foul. Texture says it's just odd how Kansas City can never beat anyone clean. The ref is always distracted or knocked out.
Hey,
the ref bump.
It's just kind of odd. I'm just saying that Kansas City can't seem to do it on the up and up. I think maybe some money exchange hands or something over there. That's all I'm saying. That's I'm not accusing anyone.
Not saying. Just saying. I don't know, man. As I said, I don't. I'll put it this way. To the chagrin of many of you and Lonzo especially. If you want to circle a play to say that the NFL is rigged, 2019 NFC Championship game, LA Rams, New Orleans Saints, the worst missed pass interference call in the history of the National Football League. And you know what's funny about it? I get Lonzo rolling his eyes and laughing, et cetera, but not a damn one of you will say that I'm wrong. Not a one of you will say that I'm wrong.
If you are wondering if Rob has a quota of how many times he has to mention that per year or someone from New Orleans will come after him, he does. So he's what we're on like 3 or 4 already, and we're not even out of January.
Oh, there's no quota. This is all me. All me. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we will wrap up AFC Championship game. We got to get to NFC Championship game also on the show today. If you missed that LeBron story, I will get to that. But I also want you to know in that LeBron story that the NBA Officials Union has apologized for what happened. We're going to talk about that coming up in a little while. Speaking of the NBA, I don't know if you caught the controversy caused by a Reddit thread. Las Vegas took the the NBA Defensive MVP award off the books for a couple of days because of a Reddit post. And it's unbelievable. I'll talk to you about that controversy and more. It's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Did you get to watch Royal Rumble yet?
Yes. So I did the thing where
Somebody deserves an Oscar.
I did the thing where I went home and I just started watching it. I rewound back enough to see
Caught the
who
end of
won,
it live?
just to see who won the men's Rumble. Then I watched everything else live. And then I watched the whole Rumble yesterday before football. So yeah, so I saw everything.
The end of that show was the best thing wrestling has done since WrestleMania 30 was
the biggest shock was Jay walking out. That was the biggest shock
because it was so focused on Sammy and Roman that Jay's moment was like, oh my God, I cannot wait for Friday night. This is the first time
we get to see it live,
and I cannot tell you how long that I am.
Unless they do it on Monday. I hope they don't.
They're not going to do it Monday.
Well,
There's
today
no
is
way.
Monday. I guess we'll find out. Yeah.
It might be referenced tonight, but considering they're pushing towards splitting the belts up,
yeah,
I assume they're going to start having them more isolated on the show. Figure out my water.
We believe that everyone should be able to afford confidence and a beautiful smile without breaking the bank. My Affordable Braces has been offering braces starting at $39.95 for years. New technology means fewer visits. Save even more with insurance plans like MetLife and Delta Dental. Schedule your free consultation, exam, and x-rays today at a clinic near you. Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson. MyAffordableBraces.com.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online and you can get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with auto pay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR. Includes 0.5% auto pay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information. Secrets, cover-ups.
So there's a guy who works for the hockey team, Jack, who's a big wrestling guy as well. Because hockey and wrestling have a huge crossover with each other. Shocking, I know. And after the Palmetto Bowl, the Clemson, South Carolina hockey game on Saturday. I was on the mic. There were probably 2,300 people in there. So we got done. And as I'm walking off the ice, I was like, you know what? And I cracked on the mic. And I was like, by the way, my name is Rob Brown. Listen to the Rob Brown Show 9 to noon on the Fan Upstate 97.7 FM in Greenville, the only show in the Upstate that talks hockey. We'd love to have you guys. See you tonight for the Swamp Rabbits game. Walked off the ice. My man Jack walks up and he goes, going into business for yourself there, CM Punk? And I was like, yes, great reference. Yes, I am.
I don't know, man. I don't know where they're going with this Jay thing. Joseph is asking a question. Because the rumor it was going to be KO and Sammy going after the tag team belts.
So don't forget, we have Elimination Chamber between here and Mania.
We do.
So my thought is, I don't wonder if we don't get Sammy, Jay, KO, Roman, Solo. There's 5 or 6 in the Elimination Chamber. There's 6, right? 2 start plus 4 pods.
I think so.
Do we have a tag team Elimination Chamber?
Sammy,
Jay, and KO versus Roman, Solo, and Jimmy?
Yeah, that's happened before.
If they win, Sammy gets his match at Mania. Roman's got to take on Cody one night and Sammy on the other. Or do you let Jay be the one who takes it off of Roman? Considering all of this started with Roman strong-arming Jay into the bloodline by beating the hell out of Jimmy over and over.
There's
options on the table.
Yeah, which is awesome.
When wrestling's at its best.
Even after Saturday night, instead of it being narrowed down, the options
we should do a wrestling pod this week. We really should.
We also should go live after SmackDown, like in a parking lot.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Wrapping up hour number 1 of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Rob and Lonzo with you. So after the game is over, the unnecessary roughness on Mahomes gives the Chiefs 15 more. It allows a long field goal to go through. Chiefs take a 3-point lead, 3 seconds on the clock. Cincinnati tries the razzle-dazzle for a miracle kickoff return. It does not work. Chiefs win. They take the AFC title. They head to the dance. On the way to the locker room, the Bengals' Jermaine Pratt was not happy with the call or the decision, I should say, of Osei, the linebacker / edge rusher who got the penalty. I'm going to go to clip number 3 here, if you don't mind, Lonzo. In case you wondered if it means anything to these guys, in case you wonder, or if you're one of those people that go, I'm college guy because NFL's all about the money. They don't care. Listen to this as Jermaine Pratt gets into Osei's face as they walk into the locker room about his decision to pop Mahomes out of bounds. All right, don't listen to that. Because I thought I caught them all.
You did not.
That's why Lonzo's on the ball. Anyway, in a clip that will be further edited and played later, he says, the bleep were you doing? Why the bleep did you touch the quarterback? What the bleep was that? I caught 2 of them. That's on me. That's why Lonzo's in charge. All right? That is 3 dump buttons in my career with Lonzo, but 2 of them have come this year.
Oh, no, there was one Friday, but that wasn't you.
True. So there have been 4 dump buttons. One wasn't me. One was me. 2 of them were this year. Anyway, Jermaine Pratt, in audio that you will hear later in the show, drops 3 F-bombs into the face of his own teammate as they went into the locker room because of his decision to pop Mahomes out of bounds and effectively, I'm not going to say give KC the game, because that was what, Lonzo? That was a 43-yard field goal?
Yeah, shout out to Harrison Butker. I every time I see this guy kick, I go back a few years ago. He was in Panthers camp. I was sitting down in the end zone watching him kick and miss wide every single time and thinking, man, I hope this guy ain't the Panthers kicker. Then he gets traded to Kansas City, and the rest is history.
He's been cashed since then.
He has. But I always remember sitting there. I'm sitting on the hill, basically by myself, just watching, going, oh, this is bad. This is not even close.
Harrison Butker was good from 43. Here's the thing. That kick would not have been good from much further. He had maybe another 2-3 yards. Maybe. Could have maybe got it from 46. But it was, who was it? Jay Feely last night, I think. They brought in Jay Feely just to talk during kicks. And Feely came in and they said, what's the difference between 43 and 58 from this spot? And he goes, the difference is at 58. Butker's got the leg to make 58, but at 58, you kind of got to downgrade the accuracy stat and upgrade the power stat. You got to care more about getting it there than getting it straight. He goes from 43. He's got a good chance because you can just focus on, you don't have to really boom the ball at 43. You just got to make sure it's at the goalpost. And 43, usually you can sneak it in with your regular kicking motion. From 58, you'd have to put the efficiency bonus into power, not accuracy. And that makes it a little tougher. I'm not saying Harrison Butker doesn't make the kick from 58. I'm saying it's obviously a much bigger challenge. And maybe we go to overtime with, by the way, the new overtime rules in the playoffs that are there because of last year's Kansas City-Cincinnati overtime game. So that play call, that penalty call, that penalty call was enormous. Butker might make it from 58, but the probability drops dramatically.
You know, it's just like in life, Rob. One bad choice can cost the whole team.
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. Osei is going to be answering for that for a very long time. He did his presser afterwards, and somebody in the media was like, hey, we saw Jermaine get in your grill. How you doing? He's like, oh, we're a big family here. Yeah, you might be, but somebody's sleeping on the floor. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute from right now. We'll get into the NFC Championship game. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. My name is Rob Brown. The great Lonzo's at the helm. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. You're listening to the Fan Upstate.
You got me concerned, Steven, that the button's not working.
Be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. Hang on.
The Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. Let's start slow. Get the crust. We'll hand toss that spring water dough just for you. Then add the freshest ingredients and serve it hot. Now, lift it. You're doing
Oh, we're good, Trey. So I was surprised when he didn't make it. That was another botch for sure.
I don't know why you would try that spot on a chair with wheels on it. You know what I mean?
Because you're Kofi Kingston. There's even that phone commercial where Kofi never touches the ground.
Yeah.
And he's, I mean, you know,
But like,
if you're
it had wheels on it.
if you're WWE, don't you go, okay, that's it, Kofi. I mean, you know, we made a big deal about this 2 years in a row.
That's
You
2 years
botched.
in a row he's blown it. Yeah. Last year was jumping on the barricade and just missing, right?
Yeah. His feet touched the ground. He looked around, just threw his arms up like, oh, well. But see, they were, if Cole was playing it like maybe he was, or one of those guys, well, one leg is up, so only one foot touched the ground. Like he was still okay, but you never saw him again. So he might have hurt himself.
Well, I mean, if he gets eliminated, you don't want to dwell on the fact that he missed a spot that, let's be honest, we were all waiting for. Right?
Yeah.
Every time Kofi's in, you're waiting for his almost elimination spot.
How about that Logan Paul Ricochet spot?
Oh, dude. So good.
And he did the buckshot again.
Yep.
Does it better than Hangman.
It was good. It was good.
It is just so much more violent.
It is good.
But when him and Ricochet looked at each other, it's like, oh boy.
Yep.
I'm guessing you practiced that. Obviously, it was set up for it to happen, but do you practice that? Or do you go, okay, we're just going to try this?
I mean, I suspect both of them worked on getting the off the rope jump correct. I don't know.
By the way, James Ray really is hurt, and that was more of a
It was a kayfabe cover.
yeah,
And by the way, a good one.
and a build up for Dominic
Yep.
coming out wearing the mask.
And for me, it worked until he tried to rip the mask and he couldn't do it.
Yeah. I thought he did. I thought Dom did really good in the Rumble.
Dom did great.
He slimmed down
Dom-
so much too.
Condom is tremendous.
That time he spent on the
Yeah.
inside.
The only spot I marked out harder was McAfee, Cole, and Graves having a conversation about Drew and Sheamus's tag team name. When he's like, when Pat's like, by the way, those three on the desk were lightning together.
They were.
Lightning together. But him going, what's their name again? And Graves going, we can't say it for copyright purposes. And Mike goes, what? They put on banger after banger, and what are we? Partners? Well, bros. And McAfee taking a minute and going, oh, I get it. Coming up here in just a little while, ladies and gentlemen, we have an opportunity for you to win a 4-pack of tickets to see a Furman Paladin basketball doubleheader this Saturday at the Well. We have got tickets for you, 4 of them, as a matter of fact. Those 4 tickets are going to get you in for both the women's tip-off at 3 and the men's tip-off at 6. It is going to be a blast in the Well on Saturday. And coming up here in just a little while, probably before the end of this hour, we are going to give you your opportunity to win 4 tickets to go see a little Furman Paladin basketball. And if you don't win them, worry not, ladies and gentlemen, because keep in mind, you can hear every Furman Paladins men's basketball game right here on the Fan Upstate with the voice of the Dins, Dan Scott, on the call. So If you are a Dins fan, stay with us because coming up within this hour, we have got 4 tickets to go see both Furman's men's and women's team downtown at the Well. While I'm talking downtown at the Well, I got to say this one too. Saturday hosted the Palmetto Bowl on ice. Clemson versus South Carolina club hockey style. And it was incredible. Had just over 2K people in the building to watch a little college hockey. It was a college football environment surrounding a hockey rink. Fantastic. I emceed that game. I went on the ice during the first intermission. I did, as everybody with a mic in that environment does. Do I have any Gamecock fans in attendance? Do I have any Clemson fans in the building? And as I walked off the ice, there were on opposite sides of the rink, to my left, about 35 Clemson dudes, and to my right, about 35 Carolina dudes who were giving each other hell during the game, which is good because Clemson hockey gave nothing to the Gamecocks. A 7-1 final. Gamecocks have won 5 Palmetto Bowls on ice in a row. But the atmosphere was incredible. And if you were not there, if you weren't there, I would be next year. It was and by the way, you want to talk about physical ice hockey. They were getting after each other in that one, man. It was something else. If you weren't in attendance, be there next year because you missed out. College football atmosphere around a hockey game, unfreaking touchable. All right, let's talk NFC Championship game. And frankly, Lonzo, there's just not that much to talk about. The 49ers lost Brock Purdy, who started the game 4 for 4 or 3 for 3, came in, had one more attempt late when they went back to him. Purdy said after the game he couldn't throw the ball more than 5 or 6 yards without immense pain. Tried to get through it, just couldn't do it. They ended up having to go to the background to QB4, Josh Johnson, as their starter. After the game was over, George Kittle. I like playing audio that I've thoroughly checked and vetted. You're welcome to preview if you like, but I think now I'm double checking myself.
Yeah, because I can't listen to it.
No, I edited it. Chris was in the room. Remember? I played it a couple times after you walked out. You know what? I'm just going to hold off. Now I'm doubting myself. George Kittle got asked in his press conference, you had to go to QB4. You guys didn't really have an arm in the backfield. How did it feel? And Kittle said, how did it feel losing because we didn't have a quarterback? Pretty bleepy, to be honest with you. That's about it.
Hey, George, I know a lot of people are looking at us right now, so I'm going to ask this very intelligent question. How did it make you feel when you were on your 4th quarterback?
I mean, I think you have to get that clip, right? Like, you have to get that.
Is that how you would have worded the question?
I mean, probably not how I would have worded it, but I would have probably gone with the same question. You guys were working with QB4. I might have asked it like, how do you feel it inhibited the offense? Do you feel like it held you back? How did it change the game plan? Like, I'd have asked it more X's and O's football-wise.
Yeah, I get all those questions, but all those are obvious. I
don't disagree, but sometimes you still got to get the sound for the obvious answer, right? Media side, you've still – like, what is the question you asked George Kittle in that spot? Hey, George, how was your route running today? You just got your rear ends kicked up and down the field without a quarterback available because Brock got hurt early. By the way, hate it for that young man. Hate it for that guy. Of course, Philadelphia's defensive line, as I predicted they would, tore up the Niners at the point of attack.
Hey, I was rooting for Christian McCaffrey. I'm not going to and for Bosa. But the thing is, I would have liked to have seen Christian McCaffrey at quarterback.
I mean, you did.
Yeah, one
And
play.
He winged it about 85 yards away from the nearest wide receiver because he was about to get murdered, just like Brock Purdy was.
Hey, that's not his fault. This happens to a lot of quarterbacks when receivers run the wrong route. Obviously, he was throwing to a point and not to.
No, he was throwing to the point of don't get destroyed was the point. The point was don't get murdered in the backfield. Here's the thing. Back in the first quarter of the Chiefs-Bengals game, Mahomes threw to Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce then tried to do a little lateral pitch and ladder down the field, back over to who was Avante Scouting, I think.
It would have worked if he actually would have pitched it better.
He put a little more gas into it. Not only does it work, I think Avante Scouting scores from that spot, right? Like he's one-on-one with a safety to score.
And Scanlon had scored earlier in the game too. So or at one point in the game, he had a really good game.
He had
so
a great game.
That would have added to that for sure.
Considering he was the only wide receiver on the roster. Because Mecole Hardman was out there, but Hardman was not full. He was not 100%. Valdes-Scantling would have taken that to the house and added about 40 more yards and another touch to the list. Anyway, the reason that Andy Reid was comfortable allowing that to happen in that moment, in my opinion, is because everything was working for the Chiefs, right? And when everything is working for you, you can take those risks. You can take those chances. You can maybe try some stuff that you wouldn't ordinarily otherwise try. You can't run McCaffrey at quarterback at a Wildcat because the defensive line for Philly was just massacring you, right? I go back to early in that game, and I think Romo made the point of this on commentary at one point in the Chiefs-Bengals game. The Bengals, though, were very frequently lining up in either cover one or cover zero, right? Either a single high safety or no safeties at all, manning up everybody, putting 8 on the line, bringing 6 or 7 of them, and kind of frustrating Mahomes. And Romo pointed out, he said, look, the Chiefs ended the first quarter with 3 or 4 sacks. Joe Burrow had 0 passing yards in the first quarter. The Bengals offense had 0 yards in the first quarter. And the score was 7-0, right? Sorry, the score was 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. 3-0. All that defense from Kansas City, the score was 3-0.
Yeah, Kansas City had a touchdown called back and they had to settle for a field goal. I don't remember if that was the first field goal or the second one.
It was the second, if I recall correctly. But all that defense out of Kansas City, the score was 3-0. Cincinnati was still very much in that game, and part of the reason why was because they were going with either cover 0 or cover 1. They were putting 8 on the box. They were bringing odd pressures, and they were hoping that they could flush Mahomes out of the pocket and make him get around on the field on a flat tire. When we got into the third quarter, fourth quarter, Mahomes showed that he ain't 100%, but he ain't 80 either. He's like somewhere in the middle, and he's playing just fine. On the flip side, in the Philly-San Francisco game, Philadelphia was coming after the quarterback as well. A lot of cover 1, cover 2, extra man on the line, find the weak spot in the line and attack it. Brock Purdy was under assault early. He got injured because of that pressure. They go to the backup quarterback. Sorry, the backup quarterback. After Brock gets bounced from the game, Josh Johnson comes in. Josh Johnson also got sacked twice in that game, 7 of 13 for 74 yards.
He also got knocked out.
Yep. He got knocked out of the game. They had to go back to Brock Purdy, who came in late. He finished 4 of 4 for 23 yards. You'd have thought that with a stat line of 11-18 for 83 yards through the air, San Francisco would have leaned on the run game. But the reality was Philly's defense, as good as the offense was in this game, and it was good, a buck 48 and 4 rushing touchdowns. You'd have thought as good as Philly's defense was, San Francisco would have had to spread the ball out and run. But the problem was there was blood in the water after Brock Purdy got bounced. When Purdy got bounced, Philly started bringing everybody, and San Francisco couldn't run. They didn't have anybody that could make the tight window throws to eat up the cover 0 and cover 1s that Philly was throwing at him. So there was no reason for Philly not to bring a ton of pressure and just keep eating the quarterback's lunch. And that's what they did. You can't run McCaffrey out of the Wildcat because the Wildcat does not work against an 8-man front. And they were putting 8 against the quarterback. If McCaffrey goes Wildcat, they might have put 9. They might have left a receiver open just because they thought they'd have got to McCaffrey before he could get the ball off. This game was real simple. Remember, it was 7-0 at the end of the first. And it was like, all right, maybe San Francisco can fight through this. But then Philly's offense popped off in the second quarter, 21-7 at the half. It was all Phillies in the back end. And the Eagles really in the second half, Alonzo, they didn't even really have to push the ball, right? They were just kind of able to let's just run it. Let's just run clock. By the way, 18 passing plays for the 49ers. You'd think, as I mentioned back in the first segment of the show, you'd think that meant that San Francisco ran the ball 40 times in that game. 24 rushing attempts, 18 passing attempts.
You don't have to be a genius defensive coordinator after the fourth quarterback goes out and then you bring in the guy who can't throw the ball to just stack the box and stop them from running the ball and knowing you're going to win the game because of that. And that's exactly what they did.
If any team is on QB4, I am just waving the red towel out in front of the defensive line. Go get him, boys. Go get him. That's all I need is just assault the pocket, make QB4 uncomfortable, and wreck him.
Does this cause NFL coaches to carry that third quarterback during a playoff game?
It's a great question because coming up in the next segment, I kind of want to address quarterbacking in the NFL. This weekend, once again proved that whether it's by design, whether it's intentional, whether it's good, whether it's bad, that the NFL is a league driven by quarterbacking, right? Jalen Hurts is an MVP candidate. He's going to the dance. Patrick Mahomes is likely your MVP winner. He's going to the dance. Joe Burrow was thought to be en route to challenging Mahomes for AFC supremacy, but Joe B played pretty average football behind a banged-up offensive line for the Bengals. It cost them the game. San Francisco had no quarterback. They become, even with the best defense in the National Football League, they become the third team in NFL history to lose a game by 24 or more. Is this good or this bad for the league? And will we see next year teams start carrying a third QB on the roster to protect themselves from what happened with San Francisco? And does this drive up the quarterback salaries in the league? We'll address some of those thoughts when we come back. I am Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is on the board. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. I'm going to check that. I know that.
Center, here's the upstate's most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. We'll see few scattered rain showers early today, otherwise cloudy skies, a high of 60 degrees. Tonight, cloudy and a low near 49. By Tuesday, a chance for rain showers late cloudy.
All right, dudes and dudettes, we are back.
Travis Benson, owner of CNT Foundations.
In uncertain economic times, your home may be your most valuable asset, but a foundation problem can seriously threaten that value. And if money is tight, you may consider putting off the repair. That's not a good idea. And it's why we offer no interest financing for up to 2 years for qualified homeowners. Don't risk it. Call today.
Call 864-581-3341. CNT Foundations, your foundation experts. This feature sponsored by Pfizer. When temperatures drop, COVID-19 cases may rise. So if you test positive and are at high risk, act fast. Even if your symptoms feel mild, ask your provider if an authorized oral treatment could be right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Corley Plumbing, Air and Electric.
At Corley Plumbing, Air and Electric, we offer flexible scheduling to meet your needs. Call Corley Plumbing, Air and Electric today or skip the line and book online. CorleyPro.com. That's CorleyPro.com.
Mark Ryan tells it like it is.
Coming up on a Monday episode of Offsides with Mark Ryan Diesel, what is the secret sauce for Shane Wiener? We will ask Chris Phillips. We now know the Super Bowl matchup. So, is the undefeated staff still unbeaten? We will tackle that, onsides and offsides, and so much more, all on a Monday episode of Offsides with Mark Ryan Diesel.
Number one for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7 on the
Upstate.
More than the scores. Real sports talk for real sports fans.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Robin Lonzo with the 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Want your thoughts on the AFC and NFC championship games this weekend, as we're now a couple of weeks out from the Super Bowl. Pro Bowl this weekend. Remember, new format, skills competition, and a flag football game in this one, which I don't care what you say. I'm excited about. We'll talk about that later in the week, but I do want to get to this conversation. We've been talking for years about the fact that the NFL is a quarterback-driven league. There is a reason that guys like Russ Wilson are getting a quarter bill. There are reasons that guys like Lamar are leaving $131 million fully guaranteed contracts on the table. The answer is because at this point, you pretty much have to either have elite quarterback play or you have to have elite everything else. Elite pass rush, elite run defense, elite coverage, elite offensive line play, elite running backs, elite wide receivers. So you can either get elite at one position and have that position carry you the rest of the way, or you got to be elite at all 21 other spots to cover up for average quarterback play. I think if we power ranked quarterbacks in the NFL right now, you would see that the majority of the ones inside the top 10 were the playoff quarterbacks, right? San Francisco had Brock Purdy, who as a rook, as Mr. Irrelevant, still played pretty good ball up to the NFC Championship game, got knocked out. San Francisco had to go to QB4. I'm going to tell you right now, even if you were elite everywhere else, right? San Francisco, I would argue, has an elite run game behind Christian McCaffrey. With Debo has an elite wide receiver core. I would argue that San Francisco had arguably the most elite defense in the National Football League this year. They were as close to having everything else be elite as possible. Elite at tight end, top 7 offensive linemen in football. They were elite at pretty much everything else, and they got in trouble with quarterback play. And before you go, wait a minute, Rob. San Francisco's defense gave up 31 to Philadelphia. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But let's also keep in mind that San Francisco's defense was on the field the majority of the time. when it came down to it, San Francisco's defense just could not catch a break. They were on the field, Lonzo, for 37 minutes and 26 seconds of that game, compared to their offense on the field for less than 22 and a half minutes. Your defense was always screwed in this game. When you have an Eagles offense led by a quarterback in Jalen Hurts, who can run the ball, led by a team that can have 44 rushing attempts split up between 5 guys and get a $148. And oh, by the way, have Devontae Smith and that redonk catch / not a catch that he made, and A.J. Brown and Kenneth Gainwell. This Eagle offense can put up points on anybody. And you are asking your defense to cover up 2/3 of the minutes. San Francisco's defense never had a chance in that, because as soon as they got to the bench and threw on the oxygen mask, the 3rd and out for San Francisco happened, and they had to go right back out there. This all came down to San Francisco did not have a quarterback and therefore could not possess the football.
These are some of the best conditioned athletes in all the world. And you may look at that fat offensive lineman and go, I can outrun that guy. No, you can't. I can outlast that guy. No, you can't. Goes for the defensive line. You may look at that nose tackle and go, that dude looks like he weighs 500 pounds. You couldn't beat him in the 40. You couldn't last as long as they do. And you're going to get – these guys got tired. And you can't blame them. Even with defensive rotations that they have, eventually you're going to get tired when you're always on the field. So you're on the defense was on the field 2/3 of the game. That's just that can't happen. It can't. Well, we saw what happens when it does happen. You lose the game.
Yeah, it can't happen. It can't happen, but it did. Now, it is going to, I think, lead for us, those of us who like talking about football, even while it's not being played, asking what the future of quarterback looks like in the National Football League. San Francisco took their 3rd string QB into this game. Trey Lance got bounced due to injury early in the season. Jimmy Garoppolo, middle of the season. They went to Brock Purdy because it's all that they had. And let's be real. 90% of the time, if an NFL team has to go to QB3, they ain't winning another game. Maybe they'll steal one from a bottom dweller in the league, but they're not winning another game with QB3.
Look at the drop off between 3 and 4, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Purdy was a genuine surprise how well he played.
Surprise.
You see Johnson, when he came in, that's how 3rd to 4th string quarterbacks usually play.
And by the way, 7 of 13 for 74 yards.
And that one where he just dropped the ball and just, yeah.
Could have probably been 8 for 13 for 90. It honestly wasn't the worst performance from a 4th string quarterback. But when Johnson got bounced and they had to go back to Brock Purdy, who said in his postgame presser, I couldn't throw the ball more than 5 or 6 yards without immense pain in my elbow, which pretty much takes away the point of having a Deebo Samuel on the team. You pretty much go, oh, by the way, George Kittle had 1 catch in this game. That's not good enough either, right? But that's what happens when you got a QB who doesn't have PT or XP, who basically goes, read 1, read 2, throw it into the stands, right? He's not making it to read 3 or 4 where George Kittle's waiting for him. Sorry, I'm lying to you. Kittle had 3 catches for 32, including 1 22-yarder. But the point is, this league has become so reliant on the quarterback position. The teams that are contenders have QBs power ranked in the top 10. The teams that don't aren't, right? Patrick Mahomes on one wheel is better than how many other quarterbacks in the league? Most of them. Mahomes was out there yesterday with a flat tire, 29 of 43, 326, 2 touchdowns. And that last touchdown where he was under assault from a 7-man rush and threw it with 2 linemen bearing down on him in one of, if not the best thrown football in the postseason, was an incredible look. You cannot win in this league without having elite quarterback play anymore. So when people get mad at the Broncos paying $250 million to Russ, at Lamar turning down $131 guaranteed, and to add one more fun one in there, at the fact that Deshaun Watson, who has not played football in a year and a half, gets signed to a almost $250 million contract, fully guaranteed with the Cleveland Browns. Do you know why that is? Because the Browns have been really close to turning a corner the last couple of years, but have just not had the quarterback, right? The experiments just have not worked. Bake was about as close as they got. He put them in the best place they've been in a while. But Baker Mayfield is not elite. He's fine. He's good. He's serviceable. Bake's one of those guys that can get you there if the other 21 positions on the field are elite.
I was going to say, San Francisco would have loved to have had him last night.
Bake is one. In fact, I would go so far as to say that despite the fact that the Eagles put up 31, the 49ers with Baker yesterday might win that football game. And before you go, wait a minute, Rob, again, you gave up 31. I don't disagree. But Baker, Debo, and McCaffrey could have gotten you 21. And more importantly, the stat that matters. Do you think San Francisco with Baker under center only has 22 minutes out of 60 of possession? No. They don't have the ball 35% of the game. They're going to have Bake pick up a couple of firsts and extend some drives. And it may not be 50-50, but it's going to be closer. San Francisco defense is going to get some extra rest on the sideline, not face as many snaps. The Eagles probably don't score 31. I'm not saying they would have won that game with Bake. I'm saying they'd have had a much better chance. San Francisco built a team that is very, very good everywhere except quarterback, and they were banking that Trey Lance in his first year as a starter was going to turn the corner. That didn't work. We don't know if it worked or not. He got injured. They banked on, when they kept Jimmy Garoppolo, that if Trey Lance didn't work, they had a guy who's been to NFC Championship games lined up behind him. That would give them a crack. It was working till he got hurt. Then they went with Brock Purdy. Listen, I'm intrigued to see truly how good Brock Purdy can be moving forward. I am going to say this. If you stake Brock Purdy, Lonzo, on the New Orleans Saints, he doesn't look like Brock Purdy. If you stake Brock Purdy in, I don't know, Seattle, they're probably okay. They're not a playoff team like they were with Geno, right? I'm not saying Brock Purdy can't develop into a good enough quarterback. He was good enough this year. What I'm saying is San Francisco built a full, whole team that Brock Purdy was good enough to get to the NFC title game. But when they lost that guy, the wheels came off and San Francisco imploded versus Kansas City, who has built a pretty good team, but they're carried by an elite improvisational quarterback who, even on one wheel, was still the better quarterback last night. And now Kansas City's going to the dance. The quarterback market in the National Football League is going to continue to get flipped on its head. I know there has been a line going around about a particular stat of if a quarterback eats up X% of your salary cap, you don't go to the dance. I got news for you. That is going to get broken. Maybe this year, maybe not. But it will in the very near future. Because the NFL, the way it is set up today, with the way it is officiated today, elite quarterbacking is what wins you games.
I don't understand that stat thing. Wasn't Joe Burrow isn't he still on his rookie deal and he went to the Super Bowl last year?
It's won the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No quarterback, and I don't know the exact number. It's like 40 or 35 or 37%. It's a number in there somewhere where no quarterback who eats up more than that amount of their team's salary cap has ever won the Super Bowl, and that's fine, but it's one of those.
Sounds like someone reaching to try to make them sound smarter.
The stat is what the stat is, right?
Yeah, stats can be manipulated.
Sure.
Stats can be interpreted.
The stats are what the stats are. But it's also one of those stats that I hate. Like, it's like last night or yesterday afternoon when Philly won that game and the announcers are losing their mind like, Philly returns to the Super Bowl for the first time since 2017. And I'm like, dude, only 2 teams can go, right? Like, only 2 teams can go. And if a team builds a squad that is good enough to go to the dance, usually that core is kept together for a couple of years. So first time since 2017, there are teams that have never been. First time since 2017 is not like a stat that makes me go unbelievable. The quarterback salary cap number it's a fine stat. It is an interesting stat. I'm not arguing that it's not an interesting stat, but I'm also saying that as this league continues to revolve around the quarterback spot, and it will, because as has been mentioned, let's ask the question. If I ask you to name me, Lonzo, the top 10 most popular players in the National Football League, how many of them are quarterbacks?
Top 10?
Yeah.
I'll go with 8.
Probably 8. That was going to be my exact number. Probably 8. It's just a quarterback league. Here you go. Let's go jersey sales. Josh Allen had the top selling NFL jersey of last year. The next 2 were Micah Parsons, who, keep in mind, plays for the Dallas Cowboys. There's always a Cowboy up there because they have the largest bandwagon fan contingent. And after him was Patrick Mahomes. These are last year's numbers, right? Last year's numbers. Josh Allen 1, Micah Parsons 2. Then it's Mahomes quarterback, Burrow quarterback, CeeDee Lamb wide receiver, Prescott quarterback, Justin Jefferson wide receiver, Jalen Hurts quarterback, Justin Fields quarterback, Tom Brady quarterback. So of the top 10, at least in terms of jersey sales, you had 7 quarterbacks, 3 non-quarterbacks.
So we missed it by 1.
Missed it by 1. The NFL wants it to be a quarterback-driven league because the fans pop off about quarterbacks. Is there any reason, if we were going based on performance, that Dak Prescott's a top 10 player in this league? Not a chance. Not a chance. I love the guy. But has Justin Fields done enough to be considered a top 10 player in this league? Quarterbacking a 2-win Bears team? No. But it doesn't matter.
Yes, he is, because he comes from the Ohio State University.
Fair enough. For non-Buckeye fans. Is Justin Fields a top 10 player in this league? No. But 7 of the 10 are quarterbacks. MVP discussion. 4 quarterbacks, 1 non-quarterback. You're telling me there ain't a running back in the league that was an MVP on his team? Not a single defensive player in the National Football League is good enough to be MVP. Bosa wasn't. Parsons wasn't. Sauce wasn't. None of those guys are verifiably important enough to be considered MVP. It's 4 quarterbacks and 1 wide receiver. It's a quarterback-driven league, and we know that, but I think that this weekend emphasized that as much as it's ever been emphasized before. And it's quarterback-driven because the NFL sets it up that way, and the NFL sets it up that way. You wonder why these rules have come down the pipe the last couple of years to make the game easier for quarterbacks? Because when you talk popularity amongst players, when you talk about what sells tickets, it's quarterbacks. The league sets it up that way. Quarterbacks benefit. Now you're seeing that if you want to go to the dance, you got to have a Hurts, you got to have a Mahomes, you got to have a Burrow, you got to have an Allen. Tom Brady had his first bad year in 6 decades in the National Football League. And he still is one of the top 10 jersey sellers in the league. So, some thought. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. I'm going to get to this NBA thing. There's 2 wild stories out of the association. One of them is LeBron charade on the floor at the end of a Lakers game. And I'm going to tell you that while he is getting busted up for being a crybaby, I'm going to tell you why LeBron's actions were completely understandable. Maybe a bit dramatic. Then a Reddit post about the NBA caused Las Vegas to take an entire betting category off the market. And it's really interesting. Get your tinfoil hats. Rob Lonzo and you on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Chuck Sanders with your sports flash on the Fan Upstate. It'll be the Eagles.
Behind the grill than in front of
All right, dudes and dudettes, we here.
Never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. Buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for $5 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in
I
100% quality guarantee.
don't want,
Millions of guys have already made this.
it was just me.
So thank you if you're one of them.
I don't want Lonzo Cody Rhodes injected into the bloodline story. Let it finish. Let it finish.
Rob Brown Show, what do you want to talk about?
All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and
Okay,
enter
hang on.
code JOY at checkout. That's harrys.com, code JOY.
Cool.
Look at screen. Look the call screen.
I gotta pull it up. Hang on.
Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
Beautiful.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours.
So there's concern. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Go to Babbel.com to try Babbel for free. That's BABBEL.com.
The best part about taking ZQuil Pure Z's Sleep Plus Next Day Energy at night is actually the next morning. I wake up alert with none of the grogginess from taking too much melatonin. Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy is a bilayer tablet with immediate release melatonin and extended release B vitamins to help me fall asleep naturally and wake refreshed. It's my secret weapon for a great night's sleep and a great morning. Can't beat that.
ZQL Pure Z's gummies. Sleep better, wake your best.
From the Ingalls Market Studio.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
From the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
Only streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Lonzo and you. Text line's open for you, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. Texter said, Fan, lead story of the day should be how bleeped off Nance must have been to have to sit next to Romo for 3 hours. He's terrible. Tony Romo's fall off this year has been remarkable. Last year at the end of the year, folks were gloating over just how daggum good Tony Romo has been at his job. This year, I have seen a lot of anti-Romo sentiment. And I think Romo did such a good job that it got him over the, oh, it's because he's a Cowboy sentiment. I think Romo last year got so good at explaining what quarterbacks we're looking at that all of us got intrigued. This year, it's felt more like Tony Romo has just kind of been talking for the sake of talking, in some people's opinion, right? Like we played you that audio earlier of the unnecessary roughness against Patrick Mahomes. And Romo in that clip was just kind of, I don't know, waxing poetic, but not so poetic about it. Oh my gosh. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't find him as bad as everybody else seems to have found him lately. But there's a noticeable incline in the number of people who are anti-Romo. Texture said, was Terry Bradshaw discussed? I saw Eagles Twitter was bleeped. Yeah, I don't know why. Did you see the trophy presentation at the end of the game? Did you think it was that bad?
No, I switched over after. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that game was decided.
Oh, yeah. I think it was that bad. He did two things that were awkward, sure, right? Like he asked Jalen Hurts to lead the crowd in his rendition of Fly, Eagles, Fly. But the whole stadium sang it with him. I thought it was a great moment. And then at the end, after he was done interviewing Jalen, he told the offensive line to come up, and he said, all you big uglies, get up here. It's like, dude, I've been in a football locker room. That's how offensive line refer to themselves, the big uglies, the hogs, the pigs.
So they're upset at a quarterback calling linemen what he probably could. Yeah, that's just, come on.
Like I said, I've been around offensive linemen. That's
being so sensitive.
They say worse to each other.
Oh, for sure.
Right? And they were all laughing at a good time. Now, I thought it was kind of a bummer that he called not Travis Kelce up to the stage with the rest of the big uglies, and then he didn't give them a mic, right? I would have loved to hear the Eagles OL pop off. But I didn't think it was that bad. He didn't ruin that celebration. Texas says maybe the Saints shouldn't have thrown the ball on every down. Why? They had Drew Brees. Just because you do something that's not great doesn't mean you should have a dub taken away from you. You can screw up and still put yourself in a position to win. You should not be cost that win because you screwed up. That's not how it works. All right. We got a Stream VIP on the phone line. My man Kevin, calling in to talk a little football. Kevin, welcome to the phones, my guy. Good to have you, buddy.
What's up, Rob? What's up, Lonzo?
How you doing, partner?
Congrats to Lonzo and the Chiefs. You know I bleed Bills red, white, and blue, but we'll give him credit where credit's due. I see the refs was scared to call any passer roughing the passers on Joe Burrow last night, too.
Yeah, Joey B, I'll tell you, I going into that game, I have to wonder, Kev, if the knowledge of the fact that Cincinnati was down a couple of linemen, I hate to, it sounds so deep, maybe subconsciously impacted the officials, right? That they looked at it and they're like, well, we know he's going to go get hit. And that makes it less likely that they pull a flag that maybe would have been called against a Brady or a Mahomes or an Allen or another darling of the league.
Yeah, that Clark come through and he hit Burrow, and Burrow got up. He was crying a little bit. So we move on. But
yeah, I mean, listen.
Listen, he came through. He gave Burrow a pillow. He laid him down gently, and then he got up and took the pillow and walked away.
You know, if that's Brady would have got a penalty for it.
Yeah, listen, and it's a fair complaint, Kev. Good to talk to you, buddy. Appreciate you calling in, checking in, talking football with us. That has been the big complaint over the years, and we've even seen it get worse this year with the concept that if you touch the quarterback's head, it's an automatic roughing call, right? Because it's like, hey, you're swinging for the ball. These dudes got beef hook arms. You're gonna touch a face mask here and there. That should not be roughing. Shouldn't be roughing unless you absolutely pop that dude in the dome.
I think it was worse at the beginning of the year, and then there was an outcry about how all the quarterbacks were getting a call, and then they backed off, and maybe they backed off too much.
I don't know. I mean, I can't say yes and no. All I can say is there were a couple of shots last night on Joey B that I asked the question out loud. Would Brady have gotten that call? Would Mahomes have gotten that call? Would Allen have gotten that call? And I think the answer is yes. But on the flip side, I would not argue with you, as Lonzo has said, I would not argue with you that Joey B is a darling as well because of the attitude and the demeanor.
Yeah. I mean, we all know how he dresses, don't we? Because it's everywhere.
Like the early 90s are back.
This is proof that I believe that Tom Brady is gone, by the way, because near the end of the year, he wasn't getting those calls, and he was looking at the refs, and the refs just weren't making eye contact as if to say, you're done, you're over. But maybe I'm the only one that noticed that.
I don't know, man. I think that, like I said, I think there were definitely some spots last night that I wanted to ask the question, would Brady have gotten that call and Burrow didn't? Right? And I think it's fair. I think it's fair.
On the same line of thinking, if Joe Burrow had been scampering and got hit out of bounds, he would have got that call because it was an obvious call when Mahomes got hit. No matter what quarterback that was, or running back, or tight end, or receiver, he was clearly out of bounds when he got hit.
Put it this way. Watching that game last night, I was in the bro cave, right? The lady friend was in the bedroom. The madre was watching the game down in Florida. And when that hit happened, the lady friend from the other room went, he can't do that, right? And the madre just texted me, uh-oh. I was like, yeah, you cannot do that. That call would have been made if I was playing quarterback, right? That's a must call.
You know, and I got to say, you shouldn't be happy to see your quarterback get hit out of bounds. But I smiled because, especially once Patrick Mahomes got up, it was like, yeah, that's 15, man.
Yeah.
Dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You got to keep your head in the
Mahomes
game.
Didn't even come up begging for the call because he already knew he got it, right? And that's not because Mahomes is a league babyface. That's because it was a blatant, unnecessary roughness call. Blatant, unnecessary roughness call. That'll do it every time. All right. Let's take a break because we have put 2 hours in the books. Coming up in the next hour of the show, we're going to get away from the NFL. We're going to get just a minute in the NBA.
And we're going to give away Furman basketball tickets.
I was going to do that now. Is that okay?
We could do that now if you want.
Caller number
4.
Caller number 4 right now. You are winning a family 4-pack of tickets to this Saturday's Furman basketball doubleheader, the men's and women's teams. Furman's women's game in her shoes, a program to inspire young women to be future leaders. That game's going to be at 3. And then the men's game will take place at 6 o'clock. Right after that, it is going to be a full day of Furman Shooty Hoops, and you can win a family 4-pack of tickets right now. Caller number 4, 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. Fourth caller is getting 4 tickets to that Furman Paladins basketball doubleheader this Saturday, downtown Greenville at the Well. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, be right back while Lonzo takes our calls. Guys, don't go anywhere. All right, ladies and gents, we got our winner, and we are back.
I like
Skrilla,
what
welcome
I
in.
like what McAfee said. I'm glad I washed these blue jeans.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
McAfee had no bleeps to give on the mic. It was great.
I think it would have been awesome if they really didn't know he was coming. Of course they knew, but it would have been, wouldn't that be like the big time shock? Like, wait, what?
And Cole is so much better with McAfee
He
egging
is.
him on.
He is. Because you can tell he genuinely likes him.
Yeah.
Which means he doesn't genuinely like anybody else, possibly. I don't know. Not like that. Like that's his his guy.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. He is the great one, Lonzo. We are very glad to have you joining us on the show today, whether you're listening here in the upstate of South Carolina on 97.7 FM in Greenville or 97.1 FM in the Berg. Or if you're listening on our free stream at thefanupstate.com, or if you're listening on your smart device by telling Alexa, play 97.1 The Fan Upstate, which she will then do for you no matter what smart device you're listening on, or if you are watching us on our live and free stream, which is available at facebook.com/thefanupstate, on twitter.com/thefanupstate, or by searching and subscribing to The Rob Brown Show on YouTube or on Twitch. We are glad to have you.
By the way, shout out to Chad for winning the Furman tickets, and stay tuned. Not today, although you can win on that show that happens later on. They're giving away tickets also. So stay tuned to that show, which you really should listen to anyway. And we have more to give away this week on this here program.
We will be giving away a family 4-pack of tickets every day this week.
So if you didn't win, there's always tomorrow.
You
Tomorrow.
have got time.
You'll love us tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. We have got for you 4 tickets that we just gave away. We got 4 tickets coming your way tomorrow. We got 4 tickets coming your way Wednesday, 4 tickets coming your way Thursday, 4 tickets are coming your way Friday. We are sending a lot of people to go see the Furman doubleheader coming up this Saturday at the Well. It is going to be a very, very cool day. Like we mentioned, if you have not heard of it yet, the women's game is in support for In Her Shoes, a program to inspire young women to be future leaders. Before that game happens, there is going to be a panel about women in sports, including keynote speaker Dr. Elizabeth Davis, president of Furman, along with a Q&A, including panelists from the medical, legal, and sports and entertainment fields. So if you have got a young lady who is interested in sports and being involved in sports, something that is near and dear to my heart as well, this would be a tremendous event to go to. You can buy tickets for this event as well. Just go to Furman's website and you can get that hooked up. But you've also got the chance to win a family 4-pack. Tickets will get you in for that pregame panel that will also feature Beth Paul, GM of Bon Secours Wellness Arena, Jenny Weir, COO of Bon Secours St. Francis, Captain Patricia Malenix of the Greenville Police Department, and a guest appearance from Lady Paladin head coach Jackie Carson, who, by the way, is an absolute superstar. If you have not had the chance to meet or listen to Coach Carson speak yet, she will get you absolutely amped. I got the chance to meet her before the Hoop Night kickoff that I hosted and emceed for Furman. And Coach had me ready to suit up, ready to run through a wall. She's the best. The best. So make sure you check that out. Again, you can get tickets on Furman's website, or you can just stay tuned to the Rob Brown Show because we're giving away a 4-pack every day all week long. And that is going to be a very, very cool event that takes place on Saturday. All right, let's get to another couple of stories out of the National Basketball Association. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to, even with the Super Bowl still ahead of us, begin working some more basketball content into the show, which, by the way, I think we should mention because this was a game that I had circled for the Clemson Tigers. 82-81 winners on the road at FSU. Much closer than you would like. An 82-81 one-point victory for the Los Tigres of Clemson. But you got it done. You took arguably the best shot that Florida State has had at a top 20 team, a 25 team so far this year, weathered the storm and got out of there with the dub. Chase Hunter, seconds left in that game, went coast to coast, took an and one at the rim, was able to convert a hotly and physically contested layup over the last FSU defender, drew the and one, went to the line, knocked down the free throw with under 5 left to play, and Clemson comes away with a win. Remember at the beginning of Friday's show last week, I told you there were a few games left on the schedule that Clemson had to win if they wanted to be higher than a 6 or 7 seed in the NCAA tournament, because those 2 losses to South Carolina in week, 2? And to Loyola Chicago in like week 9 or whatever it was, or 7, whatever it was, those 2 losses have a bigger negative impact than the wins over the ranked teams like the dub over Duke a couple of weeks ago. FSU on the road was one of those. Tomorrow at Boston College is another one. You got to shake off the tough performance in a win over FSU, and you need to go on the road and knock off Boston College up in Beantown. You get that done, then you come up against the game that you theoretically can lose back home on February 4th against a very good Miami team. But a win against BC tomorrow, followed up by a win over number 20 Miami, will go a long way in bumping you from where I think you sit right now at an 8 seed, probably up closer to a 5. Then you've got at NC, at back home for FSU, at Louisville, and then Syracuse, NC State. And the last game that would go a long way towards bumping you up in the rankings, on the road at Virginia on the 28th of February. Followed up with the finale March 4th back home against the Irish. So we'll talk more Clemson ball. I would talk South Carolina. Well, we will talk South Carolina ball, but South Carolina's bad. Had a crack at Georgia and then just could not finish against the Dogs. That is 8 straight for South, or 5 straight for South Carolina. Sorry, it's 8 straight for my New Orleans Pelicans in the L category. Went from best in the West to now hanging out in the 8th seed with Zion still out, probably another couple of weeks before he gets back. We'll talk NBA later, too. I want to talk NBA right now, though, about something else. There has been a video that has been going around about LeBron for the last couple of days. The Lakers were in a big-time game a couple of days ago. The Lakers right now are 2.5 points, or 2.5 games out of the 8th seed behind my Pelicans, which, by the way, I do absolutely love that the Pels have lost 8 straight and are still 2.5 up on the Lake Show. Anyway, LeBron and the Lakers were playing the Celtics. LeBron went to the rack as time expired, and when he got into the paint, he went up for a left-handed layup. Jason Tatum in the back pocket. Tatum very clearly fouled LeBron. This is not subjective. This is objective. I have watched 4 different angles. It is more than evident that Jason Tatum fouled LeBron on his way up on the left-handed layup. The layup was missed. There was no call. The game ended. LeBron was not happy, and he let the refs know about it. Got in their face, At one point, after the refs left the floor, LeBron walked to the free throw stripe, went to the ground on both knees, and just looked up like, why are you doing this to me? Why is this happening? And that video of LeBron, without the context of why LeBron was acting up, has been circulating on social media about why LeBron is such a whiny crybaby. I'm going to go ahead and lay it out for you if you didn't pick it up already. The reason LeBron was ticked off was because the Lakers right now are 2.5 games out of a playoff spot in the West, or at least not a play-in spot in the West. The Pels right now, on an 8-game lose streak, are opening the door for the Lake Show. LeBron knows that the Lakers are both A, making some trade moves, and B, getting healthier while the Pelicans are struggling in that 8th spot in the West. LeBron knows that the door is open for the Lakers to get and hold a lead over New Orleans while New Orleans is still waiting for Zion to get back. Before Zion got banged up with another leg injury and had to disappear for a minute to get it rehabbed, Zion was one of the best 6 or 7 players in the National Basketball Association. With Zion, the Pelicans are genuinely a contender in the West. Without him, they're very much not. He's probably out about another 12, 13 days. That's a lot of time for the Lakers to try to cut into a 2.5-point lead. 2.5 game lead. So every missed opportunity for the Lakers right now is a missed opportunity that could be the difference between them getting in as the 8th seed or having to play in deep in the tournament. Bumping themselves up above the 8th seed and not having to play in a tournament, which is not something they want to do. So LeBron is looking at this going, all right, we had a chance, a bona fide chance right there to not only move ourselves up in the West, where we are currently sitting well deep, but we could have taken out the best team in the East. Celtics have a 2.5 game lead up on the 76ers right now. And a very clear and obvious foul was not called. Now, yes, LeBron is working on a skewed paradigm right now. LeBron has gotten so many calls throughout his career that not getting a call is mind-blowing to him right now. It's LeBron. He gets calls, and he didn't this time.
But he's also using the psychology of, I didn't get this call this time. I'll probably get 2 or 3 more after this.
Sure.
Because I'm making a big deal out of it, which should not work, but it appears to work.
Well, does it appear to work? The answer is yes, and here is why. The NBA Referees Association has a Twitter handle. It is @officialNBARefs. I knew that because I tweet them a lot because they're bad most of the time. Anyway, after the tirade, the NBA Referees Twitter handle, verified on Twitter, posted this. Alongside an article from the Washington Post entitled, LeBron James, Lakers irate over crucial missed call and loss to Celtics, they tweeted it with the message, quote, like everyone else, referees make mistakes. We made one at the end of last night's game, and that is gut-wrenching for us. This play will weigh heavily and cause sleepless nights as we strive to be the best referees we can be.
Yeah, I'm not. Sleepless nights, really? Really? Yeah.
Glad you rolled your eyes like I did. Really glad you rolled your eyes like I did, because that is the most half-assed apology I've heard in a very long time.
All right, Jesse on the stream says Rob Braun is in fact a crybaby, but we didn't need to see Tatum foul him to find that out. But again, name me an NBA superstar that doesn't cry about calls.
I don't know, but if you haven't been watching the saga of Joel Embiid in Philly the last couple of weeks, Joel has gotten very big in away games, Lonzo, on DXing the entire arena after he gets fouled again. It's pretty spectacular.
Literally the cross chop. Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The other day, he got knocked to the
Wait.
ground.
Real men don't do that, though.
Joel Embiid, noted not real man. Joel got knocked to the ground the other day, Zoe, on an and one that the bucket went good and it gave the Sixers the lead. And Joel, laying on his back on the ground underneath the rack, decided to, shall we say, do some pelvic thrust exercises in the direction of the fans.
So he went straight up Shawn Michaels.
Uh-huh. Pretty spectacular stuff. Jesse, you are correct. Bron is a crybaby. But, as I've pointed out, in a take that a lot of people don't love, LeBron had his high school playing primetime games on ESPN as a 16 and 17-year-old child. LeBron has been called the future since he was quite literally a preteen child. So it stands to reason that now, at 38 years old, when LeBron James has been one of the 4, 5 most famous athletes on planet Earth for 2 decades. There are some other guys up there that I think might have a bit more popularity for that longevity. Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi. Yao Ming probably was bigger than Bron for a year or two because of the population of China.
Yeah, some of those guys, though, can walk into a room and people won't notice.
Right.
Yao Ming and LeBron walk in, you're going to notice
Sure.
just because of their height.
I mean, anywhere else on the planet, Cristiano Ronaldo is more popular than LeBron. Leo Messi's more popular than LeBron. But LeBron is damn popular and has been doing it for 2 decades now. So the fact that LeBron has always been told he is the chosen one for 20 years will give anybody a bit of a messiah complex, right? So, of course, Bron has a bit of crybaby to him because LeBron has been told that he is the face of sports as a whole. Dude still wants attention. Dude still wants those calls. And not only did he not get the call, but it ended up costing them the game in the final seconds of regulation. Texter points out that it took the game to overtime, quote, and his crybaby antics didn't lead to a T. Legit was on his back, slamming his hands, still had OT to win it. Right, but you don't want to go to OT with Boston. You don't want to go to OT when you don't have to. All he had to do was sink a free throw, right? 1 of 2 to sink a free throw. He beats the best team in the East and closes the gap to the best team in the West. OT to Boston in that situation, with Boston playing the way Boston's been playing, was likely an L for the Lake Show at arguably the most important 2 weekends. The most important 2 weekends of the Lakers season. Because they've got to make a move on New Orleans before Zion comes back. They need to build a lead over New Orleans while Anthony Davis is struggling before Zion gets back. And the Pels, fingers crossed hopefully, skyrocket back to the top of the West. Or at least make a push for it. Yes, LeBron was dramatic. Yes, LeBron was a crybaby in that moment. And yes, I would even go so far as to say, considering the game was not over at that point, that LeBron could have reasonably been teed up for his antics and wasn't. What I'm saying is, when people are passing around this video without the context of why LeBron was furious, without the context of the missed call was so bad that the NBA referees, who apologize for nothing, by the way, issued an apology. And that's the union, not the league, right? I've already seen somebody text in and go, sure, Rob, they issued an apology after the league got onto him. Yo, this is the union. The league doesn't tell the union what to do, right? I just feel like It is an easy way to pile on LeBron, who did overact and was dramatic. But without the context of that call, it is just designed to try to make this guy look worse. It's designed to try to get folks who aren't LeBron fans to just verbally hate on him more. Granted, it's worked. It's worked. But I hate it in this case. You want to pile on an NBA player for being an overdramatic crybaby? Have at it. Zoe did it to Steph and his passy hard last week. But in this moment, yeah, I was kind of ticked too. It was clear, it was obvious, and it got missed. Texter says, the third hour of the Rob Brown Show starts now with no mention of the Clemson dub over a much-improved FSU team. What's new? I literally started the hour with that, dude. What are you talking about? Don't tune in 17 minutes late to the first hour, to the last hour, and then tell me what I didn't talk about.
I can tell you he talked about it because for that whole entire time, I have no idea what was going on because I heard Clemson and I was completely phased
I'm trying
out.
to figure out where you're staring at the wall.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was working on other stuff.
71307 is the text line number. Start your text with FAN FAM. We'll read them on the air. 71307. Let's take a break. When we come back, I got one more NBA story to tell you. This one doesn't really have anything to do with what's happening on the floor, but it is a controversy / conspiracy that I think will entertain you, because I spent more than enough time on Sunday evening looking into this, and it's got some weight to it. I'll hit you with that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I love the super team thing, Jesse. And this is probably going to bother you. By the way, Michael Jordan still is the best NBA player, basketball player of all time, in my opinion. Not LeBron, but I just want to say there's a generation out there. LeBron is their guy. And the guy that you're talking about, he's a shoe guy. That's what he is. Michael Jordan's a shoe guy. They see him on the side of their shoes. That's it. The whole GOAT thing that's taken off the last few years, it just irks me.
That's just the way to start.
But it's just, I mean, again, and this is not just for on the air. If this is the greatest of all time, then I need to just stop watching because that person's done playing. I'm never going to see them live. I just need to find another sport. I mean, there's a finality to it that's ridiculous. Doesn't that make you want to root for the Chiefs? Just so he'll be wrong. He'll change the stats, though. If the Chiefs win, he'll change the stats. You know what they will do, person on the radio? They will go to the Super Bowl, unlike your team, which will not. Whatever team that may be, because I'm not quite sure So a certain person retires, will that team that suddenly became your team still be your team, even though you said they've always been your team? I don't know. I want to know, though. Yeah, I wasn't being mean about that, Jesse. It definitely is perspective. And from a fan's position, it's hard to do that. Because you just want your guy, your guy, your guy, your guy. Luckily, I haven't been pro Kansas City on the air at all today.
No, of course not.
It's one dude, Jesse. I'm pretty sure I know who it is, too. Did you turn the TV off, or did the TV just go off on its own? Okay. I gotta fix that. Or
You can watch whatever you want on it now.
no, I know, but someone will call engineering to come in and fix it. So I gotta fix it when we're off the air. My TV doesn't work. Someone needs to come fix my TV right now. Go fix my TV. Know your role, jabroni. Come and fix my TV. Decided this might be one of the last times I wear this headband thing because one, it's too tight, and the other thing is I may be too old to wear it.
Tomorrow,
Yes.
9:45.
Yes.
Head coach of the South Carolina Gamecock football program.
Woo!
Here's my question.
We'll move whatever we need to move.
This is right because it's 9:45. Can we do top of the hour break a little bit late if we can get him for long?
Yeah.
Now, part of that is going to determine because initially when we talked up front, hey, stream exclusive right here, is that he might be able to give me up to half an hour. If we do half an hour, we can just do it like normal and keep him through from 9:45 to 10:15.
Because are we getting stream or are we getting?
I don't know yet. Steve just wrote me an email, said he's available. Call me after your show. And we'll
Okay, so if we get stream, that means we can get stream exclusive for 5 or 6 minutes during the break. That will, yes, more inside, bump the stream numbers. I thought you were going to say Gunther, but this works.
That's it. I didn't tell you what happened with that.
Yeah, you ain't got time.
So I got, yeah, it was 2 seconds. I got the email. I went and requested. I went and looked. Seamus was available for 2 weeks ago. But I will hopefully get this week.
Ooh.
Which I do that interview in kayfabe, right?
You'd have to. What do you say, you? How about we? I mean,
Well,
it's got, I mean, you know, unless I'm.
No, Lonzo, turn off your mic when we talk to Solis.
Hey, you just did it. Everyone heard you.
I say it right because it's tomorrow.
Aren't you worried that someone will try to derail it?
No.
Because it goes against their narrative?
No, because then the cage match is on. No, I'll go ahead, David, for the need of hype. Tomorrow, make sure you were tuned in at 9:45 a.m. as we will be joined by Shane Beamer, head coach of the South Carolina Gamecock football program. Coach Beamer will be here tomorrow at 9:45. I will let you know we are going to try to make that happen available on the stream, though I cannot promise it. I will be talking to Steve Fink, the SID at South Carolina, immediately after this show and let you know by the afternoon. Keep an eye on our social media at The Fan Upstate or follow me on Twitter at The Rob Brown Show. I will let you know the deets coming up.
Probably around 305, 306. We'll let you know.
Probably. But I just got the email from South Carolina. We will get Shane Beamer on the show tomorrow at 9:45 a.m. and have a conversation with the head coach of the University of South Carolina football program. No big deal, Lonzo. You know, MBD. This is what we do.
I have a ton of football questions to be asking.
And probably nothing else, right?
Because that's what you all know. Well, I might have some personal questions, but
Shane, what goes on a hot dog?
yeah, some things like that
the
to let you know that this is an actual person. You know,
the classics.
Yeah. I mean, there are things that we have to do on the show, or we get fined. So, and the hot dog thing is one of those.
Yeah, for sure. Tomorrow, 9:45 a.m., Shane Beamer, head coach of the University of South Carolina Gamecock football program, will join us here on the show based on the email I literally just got. I will get you the deets of that later on in the day. Make sure you're here. Now,
by the way, I've always had I have a burning question I cannot wait to ask them, and I'm not going to tell you what it is.
I kind of want to know that.
Yeah, no, you don't. You want to be surprised like everyone, because when it hits, it hits.
Okay.
When it doesn't, you just kind of move on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it usually hits more than it doesn't. Ask Tony Schiavone. Okay. So we're good. I got a question.
9:45 tomorrow. Again, I'll get you guys some details when I talk with USC staff tomorrow, but stay tuned for that. All right. me get you this story. For those of you that do not know what Reddit is, Reddit, Reddit, is a conglomeration website / message board of sorts. Basically, you can go to Reddit. There are what they call subreddits, which Reddit's the overall thing, and then Reddit is made of subreddits. So if you're a fan of the Clemson Tigers, there's a Clemson subreddit. It's just a message board for Clemson fans to talk. There's one for South Carolina. If you are a fan of science, there are all the science subreddits. If you are a fan of
Let's
a
say
musician,
let's say you're looking
musician
for
one.
a doctor that will get you out of eating mayonnaise. You're going to find it on Reddit.
You're going to find it on You're going to find it on Reddit. Well, I was cruising the NBA's subreddit on Saturday, right? Because one thing that's very interesting about Reddit is that though it is made up of a bunch of randos, you get people who are plugged into every facet of whatever it is that you're trying to stay up to date on. So, you know, you'll get guys who have media connections within the Milwaukee Bucks organization, talking with guys who have connections inside of the Spurs organization. And very frequently, you will see news break on Reddit before you see it break on the 4-letter, right? So I'm cruising it on Saturday night, and I come across a post from a user by the name AddMassive6666. That's the user. That's the user handle on Reddit. And the title is Memphis Grizzlies scorekeeper posting fraudulent numbers for Defensive Player of the Year leader Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, Triple J was on the board as of Saturday morning as your odds-on favorite for NBA Defensive Player of the Year. And Triple J has some redonkulous defensive numbers. This Reddit user went on to make the argument that the Memphis Grizz scorekeeper has been posting, as mentioned, fraudulent numbers for Triple J. Not only does he point it out, but he brings the stats and the receipts. For instance, he says, I decided to take a closer look at his games, and immediately one thing became crystal clear. At home in Memphis, he has 66 blocks in 16 home games, averaging 4.13 blocks per game versus just 35 in 16 road games, averaging 2.19 in nearly identical numbers, an 89% increase in Memphis. In home games, he has been credited with 22 steals in 16 home games versus only 10 steals in 16 road games. Means he's averaging nearly 1.4 steals per game at home, but just 0.6 on the road, an astounding 120% increase in Memphis. In home games, he's been credited with 88 blocks and steals versus 45 on the road. This equates to an average of an outlandish 5.5 blocks plus steals at home in limited minutes versus a reasonable and realistic but still outstanding 2.81 steals plus blocks per game on the road. That equates to a 1.96 times home stat increase in those two categories. That is ridiculous. He goes on to point out that just 3 out of his 14 games this season with 5+ blocks plus steals have come on the road. 14 games where he's recorded 5+ in the blocks and steals category, 3 of them at home. Of his 6+ steals and blocks games, 8 out of 9 have been on the road. Then he goes one further, and he points out 3 examples that you can go watch where he felt that a Memphis scorekeeper gave Triple J boosted stats. He points out December 31st, New Orleans Pelicans at Memphis Grizz. 7 minutes, 21 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Zion Williamson drives to the rack, never shoots the ball, and loses it. The announcers say Williamson in a crowd, ball pops free, picked up by Tyus Jones, turnover number 9 by the Pelicans. The scorekeeper then graded the play as a Jaren Jackson Jr. blocked Zion Williamson 3-foot driving layup. Except for Z, never shot the ball. I went and checked that out, and the guy's correct. It was a floor turnover a non-shot, and Jaren Jackson Jr.'s stats suddenly went up a block and a steal.
No chance this is an accident?
Well, maybe, if that was the only one. Utah Jazz at Memphis Grizzlies, Sunday, January 8th, 10:09 remaining in the first quarter. Jordan Clarkson throws a bad pass directly to Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson, for some odd reason, is credited with the steal, even though Desmond Bane got it. That is also correct. Example 3, Utah Jazz, Memphis Grizzlies, Sunday, January 8th, same game. $1:46 remaining in the game. Kelly Olynyk loses the ball while being defended by Xavier Tillman. The ball bounces off Tillman and Jaren Jackson before being picked up by Xavier Tillman. That is technically should have been graded a Tillman steal. Instead, JJJ gets the credit for the steal. He goes on. I watched all but one of these last night. Example 4, January 16th, Phoenix at Memphis. 7:02 remaining in the fourth. Brandon Clark blocks Saban Lee's layup, but the Memphis scorekeeper instantly gives the block to nearby Jaren Jackson Jr., who is not involved in the play. Example number 5, Cleveland Cavaliers at Memphis Grizzlies, January 18th, 11:48 remaining in the second quarter. Lamar Stevens, who Triple J helps on, loses the ball. Desmond Bane picks it up and gains possession. The ball was never touched by Triple J, and Triple J got credit for the steal. Detroit Pistons, Memphis Grizzlies, Friday, December 9th, 39 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Jackson deflects a pass, never gains possession. It gets back to Detroit. JJJ got credit for a steal on the stat sheet. Oklahoma City Thunder at Memphis Grizzlies, Wednesday, December 7th, 10:38 in the game. Jackson saves a ball out of bounds directly back to a Thunder player underneath the basket. They score on that. Triple J earns credit for a steal. This dude brought 7 different receipts on this post. Now, I would like to say that they went, and very interesting in this. Right? Very interesting, and we'll pay attention to it. Instead, what happened, Lonzo, was within an hour, every Las Vegas book took the Defensive Player of the Year odds off the boards after this post went up. Directly after this post went up, they all came off the board. My dude brought receipts that were verifiable. That, ladies and gentlemen, is big time.
So my question is, okay, he picked this individual. Could you go back and pick another one and go through and make sure that all of their stats are legit? Because this could be happening all over the place, and this just happens to be the individual that's getting the credit.
Might very well be. And in fact, there were other folks who popped up on that thread and made the argument that this has been happening with the assist column for a very long time, right? There's a set definition on what an assist is. And there have been times when a guy kicks it out to a wing power forward, the power forward dribble drives to the rack, goes up for the layup, and the point guard is attributed an assist that technically is not an assist. And there are some guys like CP3, who have gotten assists like that in the past.
So when does it no longer become an assist? If you dish the ball to them and they take the shot, that's an assist. But if they dribble a certain amount of times, it's no longer assist. It's just them making the shot.
In basketball, an assist is attributed to a player who passes the ball to a teammate in a way that leads directly to a field goal. So I guess technically it could be subjective.
So if I'm on one end of the court and I pass the ball to you, you take it the length of the court, I still get an assist.
No, because in that point, me going the length of the court, that's what led to the field goal.
Which means that
now,
there's a certain amount of feet that you have to go before it's
Not
no longer an
necessarily
assist.
feet, right? So if I'm standing out at the 3-point line and you hit me with the rock and I raise up and knock down a 3 with no dribble, yeah, that's an assist. If you kick me the rock outside the wing and I throw a pump fake, get up under the guard, drive down baseline and hit a shot from the short corner, whether the pass led directly to the goal or not, I guess would be subjective, and it is scorekeeper's discretion at that point.
Well, you had to get the ball somehow. If you didn't steal the ball yourself, that means someone threw it to you, and if they threw it to
Right,
you,
the question is,
it's an assist.
Did I do something to directly lead to the goal, or did the pass lead directly to the goal, right? Like if I'm on the wing and I move off ball and beat my defender and then go behind him, go baseline, and you thread the needle with a bounce pass as I'm running to the rim, and I take the bounce pass and go up and under with the reverse layup, that's an assist. I would not have scored without that pass. But if you kick me the rock and I, juke the defender and he backs up on the 3-pointer and I step back and hit a 3, technically that's not an assist because I made the move that moved the defender to then score the goal.
But if I'm running towards the basket and you're trailing me and I throw the ball off the backboard, you catch it and slam it. Is that an assist? Okay.
That's an assist because that pass is what set up the goal, right? So the interesting thing about this is while it is subjective, some of these are not, right? Because remember, we're not for Triple J, we're not talking assist. We're talking blocks and steals primarily, right? If a guy dives out of bounds to save a ball his team threw away and he grabs it, throws it back in bounds, and he throws it to the other team, that's not a steal. But he got credit for one, according to this post. And again,
it is a turnover though. So how would you label it?
That's if the ball goes out of bounds from your team, you lay out into the crowd to save it, you turn around and throw it back to a guy on the other team, that's a turnover.
See, I would call that a steal because he threw it to you, but you stole it from that team.
No. This is what they're saying. The guy who dove out of bounds and threw it back in, he got credit for a steal. Like he was credited with stealing the basketball.
If he throws it to his own team, yes.
No, he threw it to the other team.
Then he should not be getting a
Correct.
steal.
That's the whole argument is the scorekeeper is playing very loose with the definition of steal and block here. Other guys are blocking shots and I saw this one too. At one point in that New Orleans game, Zion threw up a contested brick, but a brick nonetheless, and they gave Triple J credit for a block. He didn't touch the ball. It's not a block, right? That's not a block. So I don't know, man. Like this is really interesting. And as somebody who enjoys wagering a little coin on sport here and there, this is disheartening. This is the kind of stuff that has made it so difficult to get legalized gambling to where we can put some coin down to make the games more fun. Because on one hand, yeah, I do want gambling to be legal in all 50. I think if you want to play some coin on some games, you should be able to. But on the flip side, if crap like this is going to happen, I completely understand why they wouldn't let you. This is a player prop that would have long odds attached to it. And now we find out that my dude's floating on blatantly misleading statistics. That's not good, man. That's not good. He brought receipts. He brought evidence. He brought down to the second video that you can go check out. The NBA has started to push back on this a little bit. They are trying to say this isn't the case. This isn't what happened. But again, my man brought video. He brought video. So anyway, I don't know. Is it just me? Is that really interesting to anybody else, or is this just me? I recognize that this segment might be a segment I just did because I find it interesting, but it seems like a big deal.
This plays into the hands of a lot of people who say everything is rigged, though.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely does.
Honestly, one of my very first thoughts was for everything's a work, Zoe. This is like not ammunition in the gun. This is a loaded mortar ready to fire.
I would like to see someone go do research on another player, a couple other players to see if this is commonplace.
That's fair enough.
And if so, then it's like he got singled out.
That's fair enough.
But it has to start with one before you notice the others, I suppose.
Yeah. I cannot think of anything else. I cannot think of anything else that has gone on in recent memory that has the weight that this has. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the Monday edition of the Rob Brown Show. The great ones on the board. I am Rob Brown. We are glad to have you. This is the Fan Upstate.
You should look at what I sent you on Twitter.
I just did.
You need to check and make
I
sure
know.
he's okay. That where exactly is the pain in that? Is it on the outside?
It's
Or
from
is it up the middle. Is it a little
it's
bit
from the
everywhere?
splits, right?
I don't know. If you come down hard enough on the case. I'm just
By the
saying.
way, do you know who I met at the hockey game Saturday? The guy that called us about the injury came up to me at the game. He's like, "I'm Joe. I'm the one that called you." I was like, "You're my hero. Great call." He was like, "Yeah." He's like, I was trying to make it like in a way that it was like not over the line. I'm like, "No, it was a killer call."
They say they'll get your biggest tax refund. Jackson Hewitt says your biggest tax refund guaranteed, and the chance to double your tax refund. Thousands in weekly prizes during the Double Your Refund sweepstakes.
Starting to get a little more activity on Saturday night on Twitch.
Do you?
Which is good because that's the audience that we need to try to be going after. It's getting suggested more to people. A lot of, hey, this feed was suggested to me. And, so I don't know how that happens, if it's because of hashtags or what, but it is cool to have interactions with gamers, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were talking games, though. We were talking mods, and the mod, we were talking Skyrim, and forget the name of the mod. I've seen it before. The gauntlets. And I brought you up. I was like, yeah, Rob has a playthrough of just trying to be we're talking about pugilists.
Yeah.
And of course, Tim and Matthew didn't know what a pugilist was. Because I was trying to do the, where I can't, it hurts. When you see those.
Oh, the old boxing stuff?
Yeah, I can't. It literally hurts me to do that, and it's weird. I suggested they watch that old movie, Young Guns.
Young Guns.
The first one.
Great
One of those
movie.
dudes is a pugilist. That's the first time I ever heard the word before. And then when you actually saw him fight, he tore that guy up. He was like, yeah. By the way, the Gunther Brock Lesnar square up Oh, that was like, I didn't know that I needed that.
I literally texted Joey B that. Literally texted.
Yeah.
I didn't know I wanted this rivalry until right now.
Yeah, and it's like, why did I not think of this before? Look at this. It's like, dude. And Gunther, Walter, whatever his name is, he smiled for just a second. You just see him smile for a second, like, yeah.
It got a pop.
I don't think we have any pugilists on our D&D crew.
Your D&D crew isn't the only people in the world of D&D that you're playing in.
Yeah, but it is someone who it is a crew that's going to be, live on stream this Saturday, as far as we know. Unless someone forgot and it has to be moved, which, could happen. Oh, yeah, I might want to put that in there. What time is it? All right, it is time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending. He will tell us why.
What is happening
bunch of
right
stuff.
now?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just having a good time, man. I was just, doing my thing. The first thing that's trending is Jabroni. He actually got it trending.
You know what? Do we have time to play that audio one more time? Because it's pretty daggum spectacular. Clip 2. Travis Kelce, post-game on the platform, decided to respond to the mayor of Cincinnati, who called Arrowhead Burrowhead by saying this. Yes.
There we go. So
know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. Incredible.
So Jabroni is trending. I'm guessing it would have to be because of that.
There's
Wouldn't you?
nothing else.
Yeah.
So they went on, and I can't remember who it was. I saw a big time writer earlier today, one of the SI guys maybe, who said that's got to be the first time that an athlete has used the word jabroni in a trophy celebration. I was like, absolutely zero chance. I don't know who else has done it, but jabroni has been in the pop culture lexicon for like 17, 18 years now.
I guarantee you a hockey player has done that for sure.
Hockey dudes have done it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you another NFL player has called somebody a jabroni.
Wouldn't shock me if Travis's brother Jason hadn't done that, because it seems familiar, like maybe he had done that when Philly won the Super Bowl. All right, the next thing is trending is Gene Hackman.
Hackman? No idea. It's his birthday.
It is.
All right, good.
Yeah, he's not dead. He's not.
I just
dead.
always am
Yeah.
gonna guess
It's one or the
his
other.
birthday.
It's one or the other, or they got arrested.
James said the Iron Sheik and The Rock probably noticed.
Yeah, they did.
Correct.
I'm sure they probably did. All right, Gene Hackman is 93 years old.
Golly.
It is also Becky Lynch is trending.
The man is trending.
Becky Lynch is
I'm
trending.
gonna say this. I don't know if you saw it, but before Raw's 30 last Monday, apparently Rick, who was in the building, I don't need to say the last name, you know who I'm talking about. Apparently Rick went up to Seth and Becky Lynch and apologized, was like, hey, look, I made it a big deal. It shouldn't have been a big deal. I sincerely apologize for that. And now Seth and big time Bex, the man, and Rick are all on speaking terms again.
Yeah, the father of my friend Charlotte Flair, who's set right over there a couple years ago. Finally, it's trending. We talked about it before, but I gotta say it again. Hashtag NFL Rick.
Oh, I thought we were gonna go Uzi.
No.
Yeah, the calls at the end. I just listen. I've watched it. I watched it yesterday live. I rewatched the second half of the game this morning before we came on the air. There weren't calls that were anywhere near as egregious as the missed pass interference call between the Rams and the Saints in the 2019 NFC Championship game. But there were some that I think it would be fair to ask the question, do those calls get made because Mahomes is a darling and Burrows just isn't on his level yet? I don't know. I'll tell you this. I'm going to watch the second half a third time, and we'll see if this is still a big topic of conversation tomorrow. No, it did not get into today was the Royal Rumble. Plenty of time to do that, including Fight Club with Lonzo on Thursday. Remember, 9:45 tomorrow, Shane Beamer, head coach of the Gamecocks, is scheduled to join us per USC. I'll let you know when I get the deets on that. And another family 4-pack of tickets to this weekend's Furman doubleheader going to be up for grabs tomorrow as well. That's it for the show. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, dudes and dudettes. Appreciate you guys watching. You are the best. We will see you back here tomorrow to do it all over again. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.